Tamara, you recently wrote a book called Defeat Cancer Now. Can you just briefly talk about the story behind that book?
Yes, well, in 2009, it was April 2009, and I had found a lump on my breast. And because I was busy getting my master's degree and I was almost finished, I was going to finish in June of 2009, I said, okay, I knew what it was in the back of my mind, and I was like, okay, well, I can't deal with this now. I'm busy getting my degree. So I put it on the back burner. And then in May of 2009, I had lost my job. And so now I was unemployed and with cancer. And I was like, I still can't think about this right now. I have a month until I graduate. So I put it on the back burner. Well, in that time of 2 months, it had actually spread to my lymph nodes. So then I had like 5 or 6 lymph nodes underneath each armpit. And everything was, it was visible and swollen. And by that point, everything was throbbing all across my breast area. And it was really painful, difficult to sleep. And then it was itching at the site of the lump on my breast. And so by the time I finally graduated, I just, because I didn't have any insurance and I didn't have any money, so I just sat in front of the computer and I cried and I said, God, you put this on me for a reason, and so you're going to have to help. And I just asked him, what do you want me to do? Lead me in the right direction to what's going to heal me naturally. Because there was no way. I saw my mother going through